Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to How We Grow, the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Lynell Gordon, and today I have a very special guest. Alex Zemianek is with us, and he is a very accomplished investor, vacation rental manager, and just overall really good human being. So thanks for being with me, Alex.
Oh, thank you for saying that. I can echo that back to you, and thanks for having me. This is fun.
So what would you like to share with people about growth and business?
Well, it's a great question. I mean, I think that we've had a lot of hurdles and challenges even since the last time I was on your show, and we were going through a lot in that transition. Yeah. And one thing I can say about growth is that you got to do it slowly. I think quality over quantity is important, which is very difficult when you need revenue. You know, when you're in a position where you've either gone through a pandemic or you've gone through whatever challenge that is financially, the knee-jerk reaction sometimes is to just grow your business. And growing your business is important. If you're not growing, you are dying. But growing quality business, quality relationships to me is a lot more important to have a sustainable business over time. And one thing that's happened to me that I feel like God blessed me with in the last, couple of months is we picked up a big acquisition and brought on a condotel, and it's really launched a whole new direction that I wasn't really looking at before. And I didn't know much about condotels. It stayed in one, but we picked up one called Espadine Lohi in Denver. And I think it's just another testament to just focusing on your brand and your quality, and you're going to attract that quality too over time. And so sometimes it's just hanging in the saddle.
Yeah, that's true. Hanging in there because things are difficult all over. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is advice for property managers who may decide that they want to take on investment. What would be your advice to people that want to take on investment? Can you explain like pros and cons to them?
Taking on investment for a business or for a property acquisition?
Just in property management in general, whether for property acquisition or whether just because it was offered to them. Look, how many times have you been offered?
Many.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, they get offered all the time. So what kind of things should they think about with that?
The first thing to do is make sure you're always managing your numbers on a spreadsheet and don't get too excited until you look at all of the pros and cons of that scenario. I can kind of give an answer to both. Like I started out as an investor and a property investor. And so if you're buying a property, you got to really look at area legislation. You got to focus on so many things other than does it turn an ROI, because the quality there. If you're looking for an investment for your business, and you're trying to grow your business, then I think it's very important to wait till you're in a position of strength and not in a position of weakness. And finding ways to leverage relationships and resources and lenders to do it the right way. There are times where I have doubted my approach of trying to stay self-funded because it doesn't help me grow as fast.
Right.
And I think, there's lots of different ways. It really depends on the business model. If somebody is looking to grow, if they're looking to grow and hold, or if they're looking to grow and sell, those will kind of present different, unique challenges as well.
So a lot of the property managers I speak to, they caution very strongly about not getting into that. And I truly am trying to think about people who have done it successfully, taken on investment successfully, because all we hear about are bad stories. Is there a way to take on investment in a positive way that actually is effective?
I think there is, because there's definitely a lot of peers in the industry that have heard phenomenal stories. And I think where it starts is, again, going back to the quality relationship and who is your investor.
Yeah.
If you're going to just venture capital, sometimes not every investor knows your industry or knows what you're doing. Some investors are silent investors. Some investors want control.
They all say they're silent. I'm just saying. The ones in my experience are like, oh, we're silent. Yeah, until they're not.
They're silent in the beginning until they're not.
That's right.
So it depends on how much control you give up to. I debate on this still today. If we should offer up an equity position and bring on either a partner or investors. And I've traditionally gone to banks just because it's easier with loans and lending. And I've leveraged real estate to do a lot of that. But that also reaches its limits too. And so I think there are a lot of stories where people have had successful investors. I think the common denominator factor there is like, who is your investor and what kind of relationship? I know for me, I have on one hand people that I've thought about reaching out to, and that's because of the character of that individual,
That's right.
not because
That's
of the
exactly
money.
right. That I think is really good advice. Any business, when you're taking on investors, the character of the people that you're investing, because you're investing in them as well.
Yes.
Even though you're taking money from them and creating equity there, it's still that character is very important.
Yes.
Built by property managers for property managers. Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors, improving flow by logging into a single system and reducing redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center, reservations quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com.
So what is the best advice you can give a property manager who wants to grow their business?
I would say you got to look at what is your strategy? Like, are you looking to grow and sell? Are you looking to grow and hold? Like, do you want to be a brand that's recognized in multiple different ways? If you're growing a brand and you're investing into your business and you're investing into your own direct bookings and your website, your domain, then it opens up a lot of different other avenues in e-commerce and other things because your brand can evolve in multiple ways when people trust it. If your goal is to just grow inventory and you want to lean a little bit more heavily on OTAs and travel agents to provide that, then that kind of growth can still be successful for a lot of companies that do it today. And so it doesn't make it wrong. It just means, what is your particular goal for your brand? Like for me, Jay-Z is 3 generations of initials that started after my father who had passed and my son that was born, and my initials, my brothers, my nephews. And so it means so much more to me. And so it's never really been about chasing the dollar. And I think that that is also going back to the last question. Sometimes that happens a little bit more when you have more investors or board members or people to answer to. Like, they really want to know that top dollar and how you're driving that, and not always just how you're driving culture and community and some of the things that make you more sustainable to get the higher dollar later.
Right. Yeah, that's always a concern too when you take on investors. So is there anything that you'd like to say to people who are looking to be more successful in a vacation rental business?
If you're not already going to conferences, leveraging your resources, you got to start there. I know it could be expensive. There's lots of other resources. You don't always have to pay for a flight to go, but it is invaluable. And it's not always just the courses, it's the networking, the relationships that you make. And for me, what has helped me so much over the years, like we're looking at before signing up for the Verma conference to do a panel on the technology stack. At first, I was thinking we had like 6 or 7 technology vendors, and then I realized we have like 17. And it's very difficult to find those 17 and know which ones are good and which ones are reputable, because if you're not networking actively and you're not leveraging the people around you that have already made these mistakes, then it's harder. You're going on Google and you're trying to figure out who has the best marketing, not necessarily who provides the best reputation and service. I like to learn about the character of the individuals and meet and network and build these relationships with vendors, because then you're mutually committed to each other's success. So things that I've learned is make sure that you're involved. Make sure that you don't push things like legislation aside. Really buckle down and see what's important and what is a priority and what is urgent, because everything is urgent. And we always have 100 things to do. There's 1,000 fires to put out at all times. But there are certain things that I think one of the biggest challenges for any company leader in any company is that what is the differentiator between the priority and the urgency? And if you can really try to take that self-reflection of, I have to do these 3 things today, otherwise it's going to have this impact, then it'll help you to start really figuring out your list of items that are urgent and that are a priority and necessary today.
Well, I think it's really cool, guys. If you listen to the podcast on a regular basis, you're going to hear people say, don't grow too fast, which is what Alex just said. Be very deliberate about your growth. Taking on investors, there's a two-edged sword. You have to be careful of doing that. And guys, I think it's fascinating that we get so many people that say it's important for the industry events that you go to these. And like Alex says, it is expensive, but to find mentors at those, the networking is not just so you can meet people in the industry. It's so that when you have a problem, you have somebody you can go to and talk to. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this podcast as well, because everybody that I have on is a mentor in the industry. And Alex is no different. Alex, if people have questions and they just want to talk to somebody about an issue they have, do you mind if they reach out to you?
I don't mind at all. I love it. I mean, I have a link that I give out, and I always give anybody a free hour of my time because I enjoy it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I've made a lot of mistakes, and sometimes when you're in the trenches, it's kind of nice to help somebody unpack their mess.
That's true. It's true.
You're always living in drowning in your own. And so I genuinely mean it. If LinkedIn is a very easy way. I have lots of people that reach out on LinkedIn. And so LinkedIn or my email, alex@jzvacationrentals.com. Either one of those is a good way. And I'd be happy to meet with anybody that if you just have stuff you want to bounce off, you want to network, or I do it all the time. I have lots of mentors and lots of people. And every single time I listen to a podcast or attend a conference, I pull away so much invaluable information. So if there's anything I can say, it's continue to be resourceful as much as possible and know that I'm happy to be a resource. So is my team at any time.
Thank you again.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can help grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.